today I am talking about three of the ways that other people or outside forces are sabotaging your interviews. So instead of like what's actually happening, what you're doing in the interviews, I'm talking about what's happening kind of in your brain during the interview, around the interview, as you approach interviews, as you think about your job search. And these are three big killers that are hurting your opportunities ahead of you. I'm just going to lay it all out on the line so you know the premise of today's episode. Basically, those three things are number one, yourself, your own brain. I think of my brain as like an outside partner. Cognitive psychology teaches us how to be the witness to our thoughts, right? And I do this practice all the time where I try and zoom out, self coach, see what I'm thinking, figure out a better choice, and what are some of the ways that I'm thinking that may or may not be helping me. So I do think of my brain and my mind and my thoughts and myself as an outside source. The other thing that is killing your opportunities are other people, your friends, your family, your loved ones, your peers, the people you work with, maybe your boss. They're all working against you when it comes to job opportunities. And the third thing that is killing your job opportunities from the outside in is the media. Right. And this is by media, I mean like what you're hearing on the news, what you're reading on LinkedIn, what you're seeing from outside people who you may not know, and also what you're hearing from your organization. So the hype that your organization is putting out, what you're hearing from human resources, the general public, and how they're perceiving your particular job search. Now, you might think that it's a global epidemic and it might be something that's happening to everybody, but it's actually something that's deeply affecting you and your inability to land your next higher level leadership position. So I'm going to go through each of these one by one. All right. Now, I already set up your brain and how it might be sabotaging your job opportunities. And one of the biggest killers that I hear from women so often is that they're actually repeating what they're hearing in the media, right? So it's really difficult in my industry, or well, my organization is going through layoffs right now, so I probably should just buckle down and stay here. Or you might be letting yourself off the hook a little bit and say, I did everything that I could. I'm doing my best. This is going to be hard. There's going to be a hard road ahead. It's going to take time. Another thing that people will often do is be like, I don't want to deal with this. So I'm just going to go on vacation for 6 weeks and zone out and not do anything for my job search. And then when I come back in October, then I'm going to hit the ground running, right? All of these thoughts inside your head and perspectives that you have on your job search are literally killing your ability to land your next higher level leadership offer. So if this is something that you're saying to yourself, I want you to know, yeah, I hear you. I know it might be hard. I know it might take time. I know that, it's important to go on that vacation and zone out, right? I know all of these things. And I want to acknowledge that while those things are true in some instances, that they don't actually help you. Those thoughts, if you can zoom out again and be that witness, those thoughts don't help you find a next level leadership position. They're never going to help you, right? So you want to have thoughts that actually help propel you forward. And one of those thoughts that really, really helps my clients is always be interviewing. Now, if you're unemployed, you're like, well, yeah, I am always interviewing. This is my life right now. I'm just interviewing like crazy, applying for jobs, trying, and it sucks, right? No, what I talk about always be interviewing, what I mean is having a holistic approach that your next job isn't the end all be all. So when we talk about the beautiful woman inside of the Women's Leadership Accelerator who found an opportunity, but she's not disappointed. She still is in the interview strategy call and she's saying, okay, what's next? I'm not settling, but I am smart enough to say yes to this job, right? Like I do need a job. I want a job. I'm ready for a job. So I'm going to take this job. And it's a freaking senior VP role, right? Like take it. Yes, please. We need you at the leadership table. And you can also be thinking about what's next. You can also always be interviewing. If you're unemployed, this happens all the time. You will get tunnel vision if you're thinking, I really need a job and oh, this is really hard. And I sent out 10 resumes and nothing is coming. And then you get this beautiful opportunity at this dream company and they actually call you back. And then you put all of your eggs in one basket. You forget everything. You stop applying for jobs and you just like focus on that one interview and you're like, I have to get this job. And then imagine you get all the way to the end and you don't get it. And now you're devastated. Now, I always say, which came first, the chicken or the egg? I think when you don't have other opportunities in the fire, that you're less likely to get the job, right? So if you, even when you're interviewing for your dream role, you're still thinking, always be interviewing. You want 2 or 3 opportunities in the fire at all times. So even though you're emailing this person and you're saying, hey, thank you so much for that amazing interview. I love it. I hope you offer me the job. You're also direct messaging a hiring manager at another company saying, hey, I'm interested in applying for this job. I hope to meet you soon. Like whatever that might be, you're thinking bigger. When you can get out of your head and stop telling yourself how hard things are, but instead go into this more holistic approach where you can zoom out and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to always be interviewing. Next, next, next. I am looking for the next best fit opportunity. This is a huge mindset shift. I mean, it changes so much of how you approach the job interview process. And when you can begin to think about interviews in this way, everything gets easier. How you show up, how you answer interview questions, how you connect with people, everything gets easier. The second thing are the outside influences. Now, if you're listening to this, have you had somebody say and recognize how hard it is for your job search? Or maybe somebody told you not to even look for a job. If you have a job, that you should just be happy. Don't jump ship. Now is the worst time, right? I actually was just talking to a beautiful, brilliant woman today, and she was saying that her brother told her, like something about when the storms, don't jump ship, right? And when we have these storms, it is important to recognize that we're still in our own driver's seat. We can look at industries like biotech and see the massive changes that are happening, right? We can look at the government and those government jobs that are much harder than they used to be. We can acknowledge reality and make choices accordingly to things that actually help us. And I think one of the biggest sabotagers of your ability to actually land a higher level job offer is to believe the noise, to really say, okay, you know what? They're right. I should just be happy with my job. You know what? Like when I go back to like taking that vacation, I need to just chill out. I need to just use this time to relax. Another thing that women hear a lot of times from the outside, from well-meaning friends and family, is to use this as an opportunity to find their passion, to find their perfect job opportunity. And the problem that I have with that is while I think it's a great opportunity for you to reinvent yourself, sometimes you need to understand those amazing skill sets that made you the badass leader that you are and articulate those in an interview process while you're following your passions. Do you see the difference there? So you can own your worth, own your value, ask for an SVP title, whatever that might be. Maybe you're starting a consulting business on the side, finding your passion along the way, which I think is amazing, rather than saying, hey, I'm only going to apply to companies that I really care about, that are very meaningful for me. Instead of looking at the organization as a whole and trying to let them further define you, you can instead realize like, oh, I like this boss. I like this opportunity. I think that this is something I would like to pursue. So this whole trap of following your passions and finding your dream job can be really isolating and paralyzing. And so then you don't own your value and you don't talk about your ROI and the amazing accomplishments you had in your previous job because you're so interested in reinventing yourself that you forget what made you a badass to begin with. I say we do both at the same exact time. So if you're feeling this push-pull, that maybe some of your friends and family might be kind of influencing you and making you play small, you're right. They are influencing you. And if you feel like you're playing small, you probably are. So I want to encourage you to begin to put yourself out there anyway. And, the woman who I talked to this morning, And when she said, like, don't jump ship during a storm or whatever, and I was reminding her, we're not quitting our jobs. We're not saying, hey, I'm out of here. And if you are, that's great. Like, that's totally fine. And I think that's amazing. But you can still look for outside job opportunities even while you have a job, an amazing job. You can still look for outside job opportunities. And I think this is like extra, extra important to realize because, you're not saying, hey, I'm going to just like leave at, any time. I'm being smart about this, but the willingness to still seek out an opportunity, even when everybody else is telling us it's going to be really, really hard and we should just focus on our job and be grateful, right? There are ways that we can be grateful to have a job, to have a paycheck, to have an income, and look for what's next and strive for more. And the third and final way that outside forces are sabotaging your interviews is through the media and through your organization, right? So you've probably been told by your boss that there's not going to be any changes this year. You might be seeing packages getting thrown around throughout your organization, and you're like, oh, maybe I should just take one of these packages. No, I don't want to be left out to dry. You might be seeing people on the media who've been unemployed for 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, and it feels incredibly daunting. And you're like, why even bother interviewing? I don't even know if I want to play this game. This seems too hard. You might be hearing things about the job market and stresses that are happening across the world globally. And it doesn't make you feel like putting yourself out there, right? Or it doesn't make you feel like you can apply for those higher level leadership roles because maybe you feel a little bit more vulnerable. Another thing that happens when you do get laid off is perhaps your organization sets you up with a nice little interview package and they give you a company or a coach or some opportunity to work on your resume and to begin to develop your interview answers. And I think that's fantastic. And I'm so grateful that organizations are offering this for my clients. But my clients know that that's only one piece of the puzzle. So relying on your organization's help to fix your interview status is like not the smartest thing to do, right? You can use them to beat the algorithm. Perhaps there are things that they know that you haven't thought of before. So I'm not saying don't utilize these resources. These resources are amazing. But what I am saying is don't rely on those resources to get you your next opportunity, especially at those higher levels of leadership. One of the reasons that my clients have been working with me inside my highest level mastermind for years after years, I have some clients who've been in this with me, coaching with me for 3 to 5 years. And the reason is because they want to stay in that mindset. They want to break through the noise. They don't want to rely on these opportunities that are just being thrown at them. And so I'm able to show them, hey, how do we use these opportunities to our advantage? So that's what I want you to take away when you're listening to today's podcast episode is that there are just so many outside influences, whether it's your own brain, whether it's your friends and family who love you, they're trying to set your expectations low. They don't want you to get hurt. Or it's just the general media and you're getting caught up in the noise of how hard things are. Again, yes, it is hard. Like, I'm not saying things haven't changed. The world is changing right and left. But in order for you to get above that, you have to have the mindset of moving forward, that mindset of always be interviewing, that even this next promotion or this next job offer is just a stepping stone. When you think about the impact that you really want to make in your lifetime, this is just a stepping stone. This is a blip in time. Nobody goes to their deathbed being like, my biggest accomplishment was to become a vice president of this organization. No, it's the work that we're able to do as a result of being the vice president of this organization. Remember that always. You are playing a different game. You are in a different world in your brain. And if you need to be surrounded by other women who believe the same things that you do, if you need a coach like me that understands that what we're doing as high achieving corporate badass women is bigger than what other people might be doing, including our own brains, like our little kid brain that tells us, this is hard. I'm scared, right? It's okay to be scared, but what we're going to do is do it anyway, right? You're going to make bigger choices in your interviews. You're going to figure out how to answer those questions. You're going to do my 30-day interview push so that you can get yourself in front of more and more and more and more people so that you can actually land not just your next job offer, but set yourself up for future success.